Yunis mwana wa Dekow, nambari 11 mgongoni. I was in high school. Mohamed Ado wanted to be the best in English, and later on when he had the best paying job, he got it because of his Somali. He worked with the BBC, and he said, little did I knew coming in the Jua that Somali is going to pay my bills. I will have invested my time in Somali. And moving to Hargeisa, a town that I had not known even one single person apart from the man whom I was going to work for. And I hope to have a radio station one day, not for business. CBA TV was a great idea, a noble idea by a man called Said. He is an engineer. Kama bosi wako haoni bidii yako, kuna mtu japo kwa mbali anaona. And that is what happened. That is how I was poached by him in Nimo.
Hello viewers, welcome to one-on-one interview with Yunis Dekow. Yunis is a media personality, a communication strategist. In this interview, we will be learning more about him, how he joined the media and the ups and downs he faced along the way. It is good to have you. Welcome to the show, Yunis.
Thank you very much. It's an honor being here.
Let's begin by telling us a brief history about yourself.
Yunis is the second last born kid of Dekow Hussein Matan. That is with my mother. He has another wife. He was born in Garissa, in a place called Garissa Ndogo. I went through all my schooling in Garissa and later on joined the University of Nairobi for a bachelor's degree in journalism and media studies. And and I'm a journalist and a photographer also.
I want to know when was the first time the thought of becoming a journalist came about?
I don't really remember the time when, the exact time when the interest for me and the media industry came about. But I think it must have been when I was young. But all I remember is calling radio stations at the age of 12 and contributing at radio programs. My mother had bought me a small phone at the time, Chinese phone, and I think they used to sell it at 3,500 or 4,000. One of the first phones, I think. So I didn't have anyone else to call. So after tuning in the radio, I will just call and take part in the radio programs that were happening at the time. And that facilitated my ambitions for becoming a journalist. And later on, I became an active journalist at the age of 15, having joined C5M as a sport correspondent. And that has been the journey since now, working with the African Union as a communication strategist.
How do you join the media and how do you got hired?
There are two phases of my journalism career. There's one that I did for voluntarily when I was younger and I had no much responsibilities, and all I had interest for was to tell stories and to be broadcasting, to be speaking to people. Randomly someone calls me from nowhere and tells you, I'm staying there and this is my opinion on this. That used to uplift me. So my first time to be given an opportunity in radio was at C5M. It was owned by Transworld Radio, and I was a sport reporter and anchor at the time, and a football commentator covering the Champions League, the Premier League, well, all sorts of sporting events around the world. And I got that opportunity through an award that I received by being a radio caller. So there was a competition, and there is a lady called Sharon Boyer, I think. She was a presenter of a morning show, and I had called, and she asked me 5 football questions. I remember she asked me, who is the goalkeeper for Bayern Munich in the finals of the Champions League, I think in 2012 against Chelsea, if I'm not wrong. And that was one of the questions. I had completed answering the questions, and I was asked to come for the radio for a gift, my gift to the radio station, which was based in Madogo at the time. So my mother gave me some fare to go and get to the radio. But when I went there, I asked Enos Changulu, the managing director of the radio station, to give me an opportunity to broadcast for free. And my mother will support me, pay for, because I live in Garissa, so going to Madogo is a distance. So you go through Matatu, I use the Matatu. So I used to go there, and I was given the opportunity, and after that it's been just one radio after the other. I think 7 radios or 6 radios now. Yeah, since then, that is how I first joined the broadcast industry as a sport anchor. I went on to Risala FM, an Islamic radio station based in Garissa. Another station called Dalsan FM, owned by Star FM also. Later on joined KFM as a news anchor and a show host. And then poached by Star FM, and then poached by Midnimo as their managing editor and their political correspondent, and then went to Hargeisa to serve the people of Somaliland and their course to self-determination, and now in Mogadishu, helping the people of Somalia gain stability and peace.
You started off this career as a sports reporter, then later on you became a great sports journalist. When you were young, were you a good player, and how did this happen?
I've never played football in my life. I think
because that you are a great sports journalist.
I used to tell people that when I used to broadcast, nilikuwa najiita my intro used to be hujambo msikilizaji, karibu kwenye taarifa za michezo. Langu jina ni Yunis Dekow, Yunis mwana wa Dekow, nambari 11 mgongoni. So that had given me an identity, and people used to ask me, well, are you number 11 really? But little do they know that I've never played football, but number 11 is just a number that I chose because I used to love people playing on number 11. I've never played football, but I used to tell people, you cannot play when you are commentating. I cannot do both. So I'm doing the football commentating, you do the football playing. And that is how but I've never played football, but I do other sports.
Then you used to broadcast in Swahili.
Yes, that used to be my stronghold. That is how I started.
You did your school in both primary and secondary in Garissa. You grew up in Garissa.
Yes.
And then when you joined the journalism, you started broadcasting in Swahili. Where do you learn this language?
I learned Swahili through radio. Marehemu Muhammad Juma Njuguna, Mungu amlaze roho yake pale pema peponi, was a very great man. I think he taught me Swahili by listening to his broadcast pieces. Many people will tell my father that this is not your son. He can't be your son. He can't be this good orator in Swahili, coming from Garissa, having studied all his entire life and having stayed all his entire life in Garissa. But I think radio had an impact on my language. And if you look at anthropology, language is an acquired skill that it's like your mother tongue. How did you acquire learning your mother tongue? Like me, I never went to school to learn Somali. I later on learned how to read and write Somali. But I could speak almost every vocabulary and every single word of Somali. I think the same way Swahili now, by listening to the radio, it gave me more vocabularies, it changed my accent, and it made me have my strongholds in Swahili. But later on I've realized that Swahili is not just where I could earn a living. And my father would remind me of Muhammad Ado of Al Jazeera, who would tell him that when he was in high school, Muhammad Ado wanted to be the best in English. And later on, when he had the best paying job, he got it because of his Somali. He worked with the BBC. And he said, little did I knew coming in the Jua that Somali is going to pay my bills. I will have invested my time in Somali. But as a journalist, it's an acquired skill that will stay with you for the rest of your life. I've stayed out of Kenya for quite some time. I've not broadcasted in Swahili. But I think given the opportunity, I will also broadcast well in Swahili as well.
You are in this career for about 9 years, and you kept moving from one station after the other.
Yes.
Why?
I was being poached most of the times. I didn't left because I wanted. When somebody tells you you're doing good and come work with us and we will pay you better and we will give you better services, and you look at it and you see a good future in it, then it's a risk taking. I'm a risk taker, that is all I can say. I remember closing my life in Nairobi and my chapter in Kenya and moving to Hargeisa, a town that I had not known even one single person apart from the man whom I was going to work for. But I just took the risk and said, if you have made it here, you can also make it in Hargeisa. And that is also what led me later on in life to Mogadishu. And who knows, maybe I might be a correspondent in Seoul or North Korea in the future when the world becomes more politically sustainable. But it's not because I wanted to move on from one station or the other. It's just because I've been poached from one station to the other. Ambitions change as you grow, you know. Because at the time I had a great interest in radio. I went to TV and later on moved to strategic communication, where I think I will retire.
Most of your time you have spent in radio. So did this mean that you prefer radio over TV?
Yes. And I hope to have a radio station one day. Not for business, but just to continue the legacy that has been given to us through the radio as a medium used to change people's minds, to communicate, to, you know, entertain people. That is what we do, and that is what I chose to do with my career. And I hope, given an opportunity, I will one day also come back to radio, hopefully.
As you have mentioned earlier, you started off this career as a sport journalist, then later on you became a political editor in one of the radio stations that you have worked. Why have you switched from the sport to the politics?
I think I became more mature, and I saw great opportunities in covering politics and sports. I had the opportunity to interview the President of the Republic of Kenya, for example. I would not have done that if I was a sport correspondent. I had the opportunity to interview ambassadors. I would not have had that opportunity for. So, and as they always say, a good journalist is as good as his contacts, and your net worth is your contact list. So I saw sports, yes, it's something that I love, but again, to earn a good living and also to be close to the center of power, politics had to be the alternative point. But my main goal was to tell stories, to leaders, you know, to be accounted for whatever they're doing, their opinions to be known, their interests to be known, so that we can have a just democracy. Because being elected does not mean you're better than me, no.
After you have worked almost all the radio stations in this country, the Somali radio stations,
yes.
You moved to Hargeisa.
Yes.
You helped establishment of the
CBA TV.
Yes. So tell us the role that you have played in setting up that TV.
CBA TV was a great idea, a noble idea by a man called Said. He is an engineer. He's the owner of the TV. And he approached me through a friend, and he wanted me to help him establish the first Somali English news network in the history of the Somali speaking population. It was not an easy task. From Jigjiga all the way to Garissa, to Hargeisa, to Mogadishu, to Djibouti. How can we cover these people and tell their stories? Because whoever is telling our stories, we are telling our stories in Somali, yes. BBC is doing that. VOA is doing that. Sky News is doing that, but that is their own angle. You know, they have their own agenda. But this guy was me, and this guy now thought, can we bring about something that serves the Somali people and their interests without, you know, the looking back at these international media? Because all you could see, the coverage from Somalia is just war and hard life. But that changed. You know, for example, the coast of Somaliland, they want to secede, and they are going to their path to self-determination. But there was not much visibility for them. You know, you're saying yes, you're a democratic state, but the world needs to get that in English. So we contributed immensely, documenting, for example, Somaliland has made significant growth in the ICT sector. I think it's one of the places that can be the Silicon Valley of Africa. So I remember doing something with the Ministry of Information and the minister, telling them that this needs to be documented. These need to be told. In as much as you're doing great, then this needs to be documented in English. And we managed to do that. We had a rough time getting the right caliber of journalists and the right people because of the lack of journalism training institutions there. But we tried our best. We came up with an idea called the CBA Academy, an institution of learning for the people who are working with us, for us. And the long-term ambition was to have it as an institution of higher learning to contribute to the cause of journalism and help the Somali people and Somali journalists become the best.
And almost when the TV got its feet on the ground, you left them. Why?
It's a hard question. I never wanted to leave. Hargeisa was a very beautiful place, very amazing place. But you know, as a young man, you look at your ambitions, and as I told you, I'm a risk taker. So my boss never wanted me to leave. He refused bluntly. He told me, I cannot accept your resignation. But I had to persuade him every day that this young man wants to try this. I've tried my best with you. I've dedicated my entire time. I left my family just for this cause, and I have done it for you. The brand is known, and it is one of the biggest English news networks in Somaliland. Our main coverage was in Somaliland because it's Somaliland owned, but we're also covering the Somali region. At long last, he accepted, and that is how I ended up in Mogadishu. But I had told him that this is an opportunity that I don't think it is worth leaving, having in mind that my long-term plan is to do masters in strategic communication and help governments, institutions, persons in delivering messages and communication materials. So I said, let me try help the African Union here, as I get some skills also with strategic communication from active broadcasting, which I have been doing for 9 years.
As a true pastoralist person, you kept moving from one radio station to another.
Yes.
I want to know which radio have you stayed longer and why?
And that pastoralism has been my entire life. I've never stayed in one single place, even in Nairobi, even in school. I will never sit in one time. You'll find me I'm sitting there kuanzia mwanzo mpaka mwisho. No, you'll find me there. You'll find me on that other side. You'll find me here. So I think that is pastoralism in me. Where I've worked longest is Star FM. I worked there for 3 years. I helped them with their Swahili. I was a producer and presenter of a Swahili radio program. But I don't know what happened. It collapsed later after I left. So I don't know. I don't know whether it was a change of strategy by the media house, or they didn't get somebody capable enough. That's what I can tell. I can speculate that I was the best. Yeah, but that is just a by the way. But I think it's a set of agenda that they have changed, and they changed from Swahili to Borana, which is also a language which is spoken by many people across our region.
You said these radio stations, they are the ones poached you.
Yes.
This shows that you are successful. So I want to know, is this something that you have planned or it happens naturally?
You know William Ruto, eh?
Yeah.
There's one phrase William Ruto uses that I like. This does not mean that I am politically aligned to him.
Okay.
He says, maisha ni kujipanga, my friend. So in as much as you put hard work, you plan ahead of time. If you're a good planner, you will get it. So in radio, there's a time I remember I was presenting a radio show and I had said on air that kama bosi wako haoni bidii yako, kuna mtu japo kwa mbali anaona. And that is what happened. That is how I was poached by Mbinimo. I was covering elections for Star FM in Garissa, and all of a sudden I'm being told, can you join us? What can you contribute to us? We are negotiating, we are discussing money. 3 times what I was earning. So, but that also came about with hiyo kujipanga, introducing yourself to the right person. This is the right person, and then using your own methods and your BD to get poached and sell your name and your brand, and things will just. You don't need anyone to push it for you. You just need to build a brand. Just be good at something, whatever skill that is. Even not necessarily journalism. Whatever skill that is, just be good at it at 100%. You will get opportunities.
At this time, youth believe that what determines you to get a job is who you know, not what you know. And you have a contrary opinion to that.
Yes.
Why?
It's because people I know have helped me, but I was absorbed because of my skills. I was given the money because of what I could provide, So these people are just networks. You will know them over the years. You will meet them, and they will help you if they see good future in you and they see that you're going to make progress. So I don't believe in godfatherness or all those things. I believe in hard work. And it's possible. I'm the son of a tailor, and I'm working with the United Nations in a span of less than 25 years. I was born just 25 years ago. So that shows you it's possible. If you start determined at a young age. I started broadcasting when I was 15. I was in high school. So that must shows you that that guy has been a determined man. So for a young man out there, maybe 13 years, 14 years, 15, start it now. Don't wait for you to finish school. Creating new opportunities, meet people. If you're a journalist, go to press conferences. You don't have to be paid. Pay for your bus fare. Cover that press conference. You will meet someone there who's going to help you in the future.
You said while you were very young, you used to listen radio and then participate on the discussion
Yes.
in the radios.
Yes.
Then you later became a journalist.
Yes.
If you compare during those times and now, do you think Kenyan media have really progressed?
Kenya's media cannot be compared to any media in the African continent. We are a very independent country with respect for freedom of expression. Our journalists sometimes can be, depending on how we cover stories, we can be questioned, but we have come from very far. From 1992, from 2002 when Kibaki came to power, and privatization of media enterprises. You can imagine how many media enterprises are there in Kenya now. There's many. How many TV stations do we have? This was not there. So this shows you progress and development. And the media industry, with all other factors remaining constant, with the social media and all these things, journalism will not die, and it will be there. We just need great men. We just need people who are dedicated, not looking for the money. Money will come. I'm telling you, money will come, and you will wonder. Sometimes you will just look at your salary and say, do I really even deserve this? It will come, but out of the sacrifice you will put for maybe 10 years, it will pay off. But the sacrifice you put in over this period, you are bullied at work, maybe you are unarauka asubuhi, you're waking up very early in the morning to do that morning show, that will pay off with time. It will pay off.
Is it only in the media or in other areas? Because some people say that don't join journalism to make money.
You cannot make journalism. You can make money out of journalism. People have made money out of journalism. But I think it's all across board and across all institutions. It's just BD, you just work hard. And but if you come to journalism with the mind that you're going to get money out of it, it will take you a lot of years. It's more of a calling than a job.
You are lucky to have worked in the Somali radio station in Kenya, then you moved to Hargeisa, Somaliland, and now you are in Mogadishu. If you compare us with them, What can we learn from them and what can they learn from us?
What we can learn from them is the Somali broadcasting skills. Our Somali broadcasting skills, we are, our trajectory is not bad, but our Somali cannot be compared with our brothers, especially from the north, Somaliland, where I've worked. When I went there, my accent actually changed. And my mother will ask me, is this really Yunis who's speaking to me? So what we can learn from them is maybe that standardization of the Somali that is broadcasted. What they can learn from us is the technical experience in producing content and materials and production for the Somali-speaking population in Kenya and Somali-speaking population across the entire Horn of African nations. So there's a lot we can learn from each other. Maybe people like me going there, like you going there and providing some services, helping them, training them like I did when I was in Hargeisa, telling them how the media works, how do you generate revenue, because some of them have media but they don't even know how to generate resources. They depend on me being interviewed or you being interviewed and you pay money and that is what is going to pay the salary of this man. That is not how media works across the world. So, but here we have an understanding of the revenue and how we are going to get it. But it's different there. Those are some of the things that we can change. But Somalia being a country coming from a civil war and conflict and going through a path to stability, all those things will be corrected. It's a great nation that is going to prosper.
I want to know the challenges, the major challenge that you have faced along your journey.
The main challenge is news. You know, we are looking for news. So some of these news sources think it is personal, and they think you're following up this story just to put them on a bad light or something. No, I'm doing this because the public needs to know. So that is where the indifference comes from, and there comes no understanding between the journalist and the newsmaker, whoever that person is. But that is gradually changing. But we also have some rotten journalists within us who put money ahead of serving the people that we have promised to serve over the course of our lifetime.
What are your highs and lows in this career?
The highs and lows are a lot. I have covering political rallies is very hard, especially the Okoa demonstrations. I don't know whether you remember the Okoa Kenya and the Raila Odinga. Those were the, okay, for me it was good, but I lost equipments at the time. You know, equipment was stolen out of me because I'm following up the rally here. Raila is here and all these. You are one man guitar. You're taking the photos. You know, trying to shoot video for social media. You are also doing live link with the radio. When you go back, you also need to report and file your story. I don't think I have had loss in the media industry, but the high has been access to people in power and access to people in authority and access to places that I thought I would never get in my entire life.
You said you have come from far. Where do you want to see yourself in 5 years from now?
Not in active journalism, perhaps, but maybe you never know. I might come back, but I will be in strategic communication, helping brands and institutions better communicate on whatever that matter is.
Your word of advice to those aspiring to become a journalist?
If you're a young man and you aspire to be a journalist, don't worry. There are enough opportunities out here. But don't put money ahead of your time. If you start it when you are younger, it will pay off by the time you're 25. You'll be earning money that you will never have imagined, you know. So it's just patience. You don't need Godfather. You just need to be good at whatever you are, whether it's broadcasting in Swahili, whether you are a good print writer, whether you are a broadcast TV presenter, or whatever it is that is. Just be good at it, and everything else will just follow up. And then unajipanga as you go, jipanga. Just these 3 years I'm here. Okay, as I am here, what options are there? What other career options can I get? What can I do how can I increase my brand. So I think that is my parting shot to all aspiring journalists, and it's a wonderful career. It will take you to places. It has taken me to places.
Thank you, Yunis for sharing with us your story. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Suleiman. It's been an honor being your guest on this show, and thank you very much.
I appreciate, and I hope we'll have more discussion like this. That was a very interesting story of Yunis Dekow. Hope you have enjoyed. Keep sharing and drop your comment down there. Till we meet again, goodbye.